here are some lessons for non-technical founders in SaaS startups. When you are leading a technology team in a technology company, but you yourself are not an engineer, there are a few things you need to do differently in order to be effective given your background. Rule number one is you do not want to ever surrender technology decisions to your technology leaders and technology team. You need to understand the trade-offs involved, right? So let me explain what I mean by that. Every technology choice has a business trade-off. We can go with this database or that database. This one's fast, but geez, it's really expensive, like 500% more expensive. Or we can go with a lot less expensive, but it's about 10% slower. Is that okay, right? You want to be involved in that particular choice because it has a huge impact on your financials and has a huge impact on what you can promise to customers. Super, super important, right? You can use a very particular technology programming language, for example, one that's incredibly powerful, but there are very few software developers that know how to use it. So you have to hire people that are more expensive, or you have to pay people to learn on the job while they get more proficient. Is that okay for that better capability? Or do we want to use an older language that's not as capable, but there's millions of people we can hire relatively inexpensively? That's a business trade-off that you want to be involved in when you're a non-technical founder of a SaaS startup. Next, when you are working with a technology team, the big mistake you want to be careful about, whether that's an in-house technology team or an outsourced vendor, is you want to be able to evaluate their progress as they are building some new product. Now, if you're not an engineer or not a developer, you can't do a code review and go look at the source code, right? That's not realistic for you. But what you can do, and what I would highly recommend, is the software development cadence and methodology that I would use is one that allows you as a business person to better intuitively evaluate, are we making progress, right? So for example, one of the more popular software development methodologies that happens to work really well for non-technical founders is using some variation of Agile sprints, right? Agile is a way of organizing work rather than having one big project that takes a year to do before a user can look at the software. You organize the work into much smaller chunks that are put in front of a user more quickly. So these little chunks are called sprints. And most Agile sprints are usually run around 2 weeks. And so what you do is you make progress on the product for a 2-week instant where at the end of 2 weeks, the product now works, but is a little bit more capable in some way, shape, or form. But it's functioning. It is functioning. So even if the log of the sprint is just a login page that works, right, and sends out a confirmation email, you can evaluate that as a layperson that, okay, yeah, that worked. That feature wasn't there 2 weeks ago. It is there now, right? So using Agile and having progress markers every 2 weeks gives you as a business person something concrete to look at. And it forces a lot of things technically to occur in order for you to have a usable product version in front of you. So I like Agile in general, and I really like Agile, especially for non-technical founders. It helps you just reduce the risk that you're spending a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars for some engineers that are like in some mysterious room somewhere, and you have nothing to see for it until like a year later. And then when you get it, it wasn't what you want, right? That is a very, very big risk that you have to be very, very careful. Next, when you give a technical team a feature to work and put into the next release, you have to be very careful about how you do that. Most engineers will give you exactly what you ask for and not one bit more, right? And the problem with that is when you design technology architectures, it's helpful to know the full range of what you want a feature to do. So I'll give you a simple example. If you ask for a report, your engineers will give you the report that you ask for. But you come back a month later and ask for another report. And every month of next year, you come back and ask for another report. The way they would have built that very first report, knowing there's 12 more reports coming, can be, in some cases, very different than just creating that one report. It's the difference between creating a report versus a reporting engine that can handle lots of reports down the road, right? Now, as a software engineer, if I don't know that you have 12 other reports in the back of your head because you didn't tell me that, I'm going to build you the exact thing that you had asked for. But 5 months later, I'm going to be frustrated because I'm doing all this extra work. Had I known you'd be needing all these other features, I would have built the very first one very differently given that insight and knowledge. So always tell your engineers, this is what I want today. Here's why I want it. Here's what I envision this feature evolving to over the next year or two. That information helps the engineers figure out which technical architecture is better to support in the next 2 years worth of your use cases. rather than just the thing you happen to ask for this particular Monday. Super important in the long run. They'll appreciate it. It'll make your life easier and theirs. So share more longitudinally of what you're looking for, as well as the one discrete deliverable you want this particular sprint. Finally, when you are hiring a technology leader to run a team and you are not technically oriented, there's an additional job requirement that you have to have for that leader that a different CEO would not necessarily need. And that is the ability to communicate very technically complicated topics in very simple, easy to understand business terms, right? So it's the example I gave earlier of we can go with this technology tool. It's faster, but a lot more expensive. Well, how much faster? How much more expensive? It's 20% faster, but 5% more expensive. You want your leader to be able to explain that to you so you can help make that trade-off decision and grasp what you're trying to accomplish technically, right? If you are a technical founder, you don't need that because you can use shorthand, you can just see certain things and not need that translation. But for my non-technical founders that I work with, super important that you evaluate the communication skills as much as their technical proficiency. Super important in your particular context. I hope you found this video useful. If you'd like other tools to improve your skills as a CEO of a SaaS company, just enter in the comments below, enter the phrase CEO skills. I'll send you a free copy of my CEO skills quick start guide to help you jumpstart your skills as a CEO of a SaaS startup. So again, if you like the video, be sure to subscribe to my channel, add any comments, like the video, and add the words CEO skills in the comments below to get my CEO skills quick start guide.